Hi everyone, my name's Kat and I'm really excited to join you, albeit virtually today, to be part of the annual Commemoration celebrations. I was part of the class of Queens who left in 2001, so it's 20 years since I left school. I realise that makes me sound incredibly ancient and it makes me think, God, if someone had come to talk to me who had left school in 1991 when I started, I think what relevance and interest can they talk to me about? But hopefully, I'll be able to talk to you a bit about my career, what I do, and how my experience at Queen's has helped shape my career over the last 16 years. So, commemoration is all about kind of looking back, but also looking forward. And I think the topics of evolution and innovation have never been more important during the last 12 months. As I said, I'm obviously joining you over video. I probably wouldn't have done that kind of, 12, 18 months ago. And especially in the industry I work in, PR, the world is constantly evolving and we're having to innovate. So just to touch on a little bit about what I do up front, but I'm going to talk to you a bit about it in more detail. So I'm a global PR director. My actual title is Global Head of Growth, but that doesn't really mean much. So what it means is over the last 16 years since I graduated, I've worked for businesses all over the world. I've been really lucky to work in London, Manchester, but then further afield in New York and Hong Kong. And what PR is really all about is effective communication and problem solving. It's about helping brands and businesses see how they can best connect with their consumers, how they can manage risk and reputation, but also, as I said, more and more kind of having to evolve the things they're doing because of the rise of social. Obviously, when I started in PR in 2005, it was all about newspapers and press releases, but I'll talk a bit more about how that's evolved. I also work with brands that hopefully a lot of you will have heard of. So be that from kind of Visa and Lloyds through to brands like Spotify and Red Bull. So I've had a really varied career. But I think fundamentally, the skills I first off learned at Queen's have really helped me shape and decide where I've got in my career and the decisions I made. So I want to just reflect first off on kind of the things I learned at Queen's and why I think it's such an amazing place to be and kind of how it can shape your future. So as I said, I walked through those corridors back in 1994. So it was still, City Walls Road, but the entrance has even changed. We had a different school uniform. So we had some, nice maroon jumpers back then. You definitely moved on in the uniform stakes. And I think even when I look back to when I left school in 2001, I think Starbucks had just opened in Chester, which was like the height of kind of cool back then. Clearly now there's a coffee shop on every other corner in Chester. And also the other thing I would say is they used to actually film Hollyoaks in the city centre. So free period in sixth form or lunch break, we'd quite often spot some of the stars of Hollyoaks filming on the streets, which always was a little bit of excitement. So I started, as I said, in 1994. And when I look back at kind of my memories of Queen's, obviously I do think about the lessons and the academic side of thing and obviously the exams. But actually, my memories and what I think about are much more shaped about kind of all of the experiences I had while at Queen's. And I think that diversity of experience and being allowed to be who you want to be is one of the most important things that I've taken from Queen's. So, I was pretty good academically, but I wasn't pigeonholed into being like, okay, you're academic. I played sport. I was the tennis captain. I played on the hockey and lacrosse teams. And actually, lots of my memories seem to go back to spending lots of time on buses on Saturday mornings going to sports matches. I was in Sanford House. So anyone listening in Sanford, I don't know if you're still yellow, but I'm always a proud Sanford House member still. I remember the trips we went on. We went on an amazing ski trip to Canada where we actually then got stuck because there was a tornado. So the poor teachers having to try and get however many girls back from Canada was a feat unbeknownst to most. And this was obviously the days before mobile phones. I think about setting up our own company in the sixth form for Young Enterprise and the skills I took from that. I also think about, the the inspiration that I took from the girls around me, not just my friends and peers, but people in the years above me, and having then seen what they've gone on and done in their careers. But fundamentally, I think that sort of approach to diversity of experience is so important to what's shaped kind of where I decided to go in my career and what I decided to study. And some of the girls I met literally in Remove F, that was my form, in the language block, which again, I don't know if this all still exists, but hopefully when I can actually come in and talk to you in person, I'll be able to get a little tour of the school. They're still, some of my best friends today. And I think what's really interesting is we've all gone on to have very different careers. Some of my best friends have gone down the medical route. So I've got, surgeons and anaesthetists. Some are film directors. Some are advertising executives. Some run and have opened their own restaurants. It's an amazing, diverse example of we've all gone on and done our own thing, but we all started off at Queen's. So that's why I think actually, embracing all of the experiences that are on offer and not being pigeonholed into, I can't be sporty and interested in music. I can't be academic and want to go and do school plays. You have got such amazing opportunity to do all of these things. So talking a bit more then about kind of my academic journey and kind of where I went from Queen's. So in sixth form, I studied English, history and German. And obviously it was before AS levels, so it was just pure A levels. And I think particularly for me, I really enjoyed German because we had a really small group and it just felt something exciting. And I think from the start, I knew that I wanted to work around the world. And I think, again, Queen's really gave me that confidence and aspiration that I could do that. So I applied to, and I wasn't sure what I wanted to do. I mean, I'd never heard really of PR as a career, wouldn't know what you had to study, but I will come back to that in a little bit. But, fundamentally, as I said, PR is about good communication. It's about talking and writing and being able to connect with audiences. So I decided to go to the University of Nottingham and I studied a degree called Modern European Studies, which was quite a new degree then. I'm sure it's not now, but it was combined honours, which only a few universities offered kind of triple honours. So it's a little bit more like the US system. So I did history, politics and German. And I got to then spend a year in Germany in a city called Bielefeld, which for anyone who knows Dr. Oetker pizzas, they're made there and that's probably their most famous export. And I went out there and I taught in a school as a language assistant. And it was the absolutely most amazing experience. I got to travel around Europe, but also, the skills of kind of confidence and speaking and kind of collaboration that I'd learned at Queen's set me in good stead when I had to, at 19, go and, stand in front of a classroom of 15-year-old boys and get them to care about English even, not German. They could speak German. And they all used to kind of, have a little bit of fun with me because with my northern accent saying bath and grass and laugh, they never could understand me. So I graduated Nottingham in 2005 with a first class honours degree. And you might ask, how does someone who did German history and politics end up in the world of PR? And as I said, when I was at Queen's, PR wasn't really something I really knew about. I kind of had heard maybe of like spin doctors and people working with politicians, but I didn't really know about kind of the consumer brand side of thing. But I was lucky enough, and again, things have moved on a lot. I'm sure if you guys are like thinking about when you apply for jobs, you'd be sending off your CV, you'd be tapping up people on LinkedIn. LinkedIn obviously didn't exist. I think I just about had an email address at this point. So actually in the summer I got back from Germany, I went round charities in London with my printed out copy of my CV, asking if there was any opportunity to work in their comms team. And I was really lucky because I got an opportunity to work with a charity called Breast Cancer Campaign, and it was supporting Breast Cancer Awareness Month. And I got completely thrown into the deep end. I was, writing press releases, I was ringing journalists, because as obviously I said, when I started, it was very much about picking up the phone and getting journalists to listen to you and write your story, hopefully positively. But I loved it. And so I decided when I left university, I wanted to explore a career in comms. And I didn't know in 2005, what the last 16 years would lead me to. but it has genuinely been an amazing and really rewarding experience. I've worked for some incredible brands, and I've always worked agency side. So again, in PR, you can obviously be working for the business directly, or you can work for an agency and work across a real variety of brands and clients. So I've worked on everything from telecommunications to food and drink, to lots of entertainment brands, lots of financial brands. But as I said, PR is really about being an effective communicator. And I think this idea that, from Queen's, everything we experience, from the teamwork through sport, through the opportunities we had in kind of small class sizes, I believe that I really garnered those skills of communication, and they've really helped me kind of fast track into working with some of the world's biggest agencies and biggest businesses. So, when I was 30, I was running a team of 40 people at an agency called MC Saatchi PR. We were doing multi-million amount of money every year. And I think one of the reasons I've been able to very quickly go up the career ladder, but also build teams, act as a role model and mentor for girls coming into the industry, being able to work, Hong Kong and China. I was working for a big smartphone brand called Huawei, who you probably know out there. And again, having to adapt how you communicate to talk to people who, that they want to converse in Mandarin. And sadly, I don't speak Mandarin. It probably would have helped if I had learnt it before going out there. But I think effective collaboration and communication are skills that you really, really learn at Queen's. And I think that what the last 12 to 18 months of the pandemic has shown us is that, you need to be adaptable, you need to be resilient, but core skills are transferable. I think when I was at school, it was still, even though I probably maybe didn't exactly know what I wanted to do, I think you have got such a big opportunity now about the way we work has changed. People are going to be working more remotely. It's going to open up opportunities to not have to be based in the country or based in the city to work there. I've already seen it in our business. I work for an agency now called Grayling, and we're a very big international network, but in the UK alone, we have 9 offices. So I'm based in London, but all of last year I was running our northern offices in Manchester and Leeds because it didn't matter, because we were all working virtually. And I think that's a really exciting opportunity for people now, that actually jobs you would have maybe thought about going for, but you didn't because actually they were not where you lived. It's not going to matter anymore. People are looking at hybrid working, how people want different things. They don't want to necessarily go to an office every day, or if they do go to the office, they want to take their dog with them. And I appreciate I do work in a very young industry. At the age of 38, I'm pretty old for PR. But again, we're seeing that, the people coming into the industry, they want that hybrid, they want that flexibility. So the last thing I really wanted to then touch on was, how do you succeed as a young woman in business? And again, I've been very fortunate, I think, that I've worked in an industry that is a young industry. But I also think, I've been in situations where I've been the youngest in a room, in a meeting, and I've also been the only female at times, particularly working in some of the more traditional industry sectors. And I think I'm incredibly passionate about ensuring that in 20 years' time, when hopefully, one of you comes back and does this, and maybe you'll be a hologram or something, we won't even be touching on, that women need to still kind of break any glass ceilings. I think the last 12 months has been really incredible for some achievements. We only have to look at the election of Kamala Harris to VP in the US, the number of Nobel Prize winners who were women this year, the most ever. We look at just in the Oscars last week, the only second film director to win Best Director and Best Picture. And I think, there's so many things, I think, again, that we're seeing so many more diplomats who are now female. We're seeing more CEOs, but more still needs to be done. And I think my message to you is you should be empowered by the skills and the confidence that you can get at Queen's and the diversity of experience that you get to be able to be part of any industry, part of any discussion. I know, again, that maybe you all have different aspirations. We're not necessarily job for lifers anymore. I've changed jobs kind of every 4 or 5 years, even though I've stayed in the same industry for 16 years. But I don't know, ask me in 20 years' time, I might be doing something completely different. And I think that's what's really, really important is whatever career you go into and whatever you decide to do, or you become an academic or you don't follow the traditional career path, the skills of kind of confident communication, collaboration, but also adaptability and resilience, I think will test the sands of time. I think even if we look back to when Queen's was first founded in 1878, that, you know, some of the skills we're talking about here, about kind of pushing boundaries, about being who you want to be, but also, you know, just being effective and loyal. I think sometimes for women in business, there's a sense that you need to not be authentic or true to yourself. That's not true. I've definitely not found that, and I've been very successful in my industry at a young age. I think actually women supporting other women is incredibly important. And as I said, my friends from Queen's, from the class, you know, when we started in 1994, continue to be some of my biggest inspirations and role models to this day. And I think that's what's so special about Queen's. So I hope to meet you all at some point in the future in person. If anyone is interested in PR and a bit more what it's about, it isn't just press releases, as I said, and ringing journalists. It's an incredibly exciting and fast-paced industry, and which so many different areas that you can go into. I'd always be more than happy for people to reach out to me. And I do hope that, you know, when we meet in person, or, you know, when we look back in the next 20 years, that people are feeling so empowered and will look back as fondly at their time at Queen's as I do. So wish you all the best of luck, obviously with the rest of term, your future and beyond. And as I said, you know, I only look back at Queen's with such brilliant memories, and it's given me real life skills to go on and forge a very successful career in communications. Thanks so much.